Alrighty, you guys, we are out here today and we are fishing the Molex Micro Jig today in this in-depth episode. Got my 13 fishing rod and reel combo 10-pound test Berkley Trilene line with this little peanut butter and jelly style color micro jig and a little 2-inch DLC Docks Lure Company flat runner on the back, little crawdad imitator. Perfect for this little micro jig, and that's what we're fishing right now. We're going to be throwing this around probably more in the deeper water. The shallow water's got a lot of that bottom grass in it, so probably won't be able to fish a whole lot up there, but this is the jig right here. You guys seen me talk about that in my last video, so we're going to kind of flip this around, not really fish a whole lot shallow, but I have seen a couple fish up in the shallows. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if there's a lot up shallow. I don't know if there's just a few. I think with this raised water and the muddiness of the water, I think they've kind of pushed up a little bit. But I don't think they're like right on the bank. I think they might be out in like 3 foot of water. I have had 2 bites already. I tried to make this video once. It didn't work. So I'm back out here again. I did get 2 bites during my first video, which you guys aren't going to be able to see. Didn't get to set the hook on them because they pretty much just dropped the bait as soon as I was about to set the hook. But we're going to keep this jig in the water and see if we can get a bite or 2 on it. You guys can see the water is quite muddy, about maybe 6 inches of visibility, and that's about it. The rain that came through a few days ago muddied up the water quite a bit to where it's pretty much just chocolate milk at this point. But something I like to do with these little jigs like this, especially in the winter time, this is one of the things that I'll do during the winter and late spring, or excuse me, early spring and winter, especially if I do any wintertime fishing. These are one of the few baits that I'll throw pretty constantly, is a small jig like this, and I like to keep it on the bottom as much as possible, especially in winter. Bottom contact is the same with a shaky head in the wintertime. The keys are bottom contact and just matching. Oh man, I freaking had one. No, he freaking slammed that jig too. I need to tighten my drag up. Darn it, no, he hammered that jig too. Gosh dang it. Probably not going to get him to bite again. If I do, I'll be really surprised. Just like I was saying, bottom contact and matching the hatch is pretty much the main 2 things during this time of the year, and pretty much all year round as well. But in the summertime, you can get away with using different colors and stuff like that. You don't have to use perfect match the hatch colors. You can use, different colors. If your crawfish have a lot of darker reds and oranges, you can use a brown and orange jig in the wintertime, and most of the time you'll be able to catch them. Around here, our crawfish vary very wildly. Couple weeks, well, not really weeks, couple months ago, back in the summer, we were leaving. We went to Walmart or something, and when we got back home, there was a blue crawfish, electric blue. I'm talking like super duper bright blue crawfish that somebody had ran over on the driveway, which it was pretty cool to see that it was a bright blue crawfish like that. And then you obviously have your normal traditional grayish kind of color, grayish green kind of color, more the green pumpkin kind of a pattern. Then you have your your brighter colored ones. I've seen some that are, you know, have a lot of orange on their belly and on their claws. Man, I wish I could get that fish to bite again. Dang it, that sucks. Should have let him eat it just a little bit longer, but man, he slammed the crap out of it. Anyway, you know, matching the hatch in the wintertime is a lot more needed than in the spring or summer. Usually in the spring or summer, you can just get them off of the fact that they want to eat. You know, they're not going to really pay attention to the color as much as they would in the wintertime, because in the wintertime, they know, you know, they know the deal. They've been getting fished for, you know, most of the summer, and they've seen a lot of different baits, so they're going to be a little bit more wary of what they try to eat. And if you can match the hatch as perfect as possible, then you can probably get them to bite. But it'll be a little bit harder to get them to bite with the cold weather. You're going to have to entice them to bite, and if you aren't able to do that, then you're probably not going to catch them. Man, that sucks. I'm annoyed that I wasn't able to get that fish to bite, and I know it was a fish too, because I've cast it however many times I just cast it back in there and didn't get another hit. That tells me that it was a fish and it wasn't like a stick or something. So that kind of sucks. I don't know if the camera picked it up, but my rod tip just went thunk. I hope that the camera did pick that up. I'll have to review the footage after I post it, or after I get the video done. But man, oh man, that fish hit hard. Probably the hardest fish I've had to hit in a while. Of course, I haven't caught a bass since November 6th. The only fish I've caught in between then and now was the bluegill you guys seen me catch. And that was the only fish I've caught since November 6th. So it's been well over a month and a half since then. So I'm, well, not really a month and a half, would it? It'd be, no, it would be about a month and a half, wouldn't it? Yeah, somewhere around a month and a half. And I'm pretty much going stir crazy right now. I haven't been able to catch a fish in a while, and definitely not from lack of trying. I think it's just weather stacks up on you. You know, the muddy water does not help at all. I think if it was a lot clearer, probably would be able to get a couple more bites pretty a lot easier. But I don't know. But we'll go on down the bank here to the shallower, towards the shallower side. And what I'm accomplishing by going down here and casting basically to the same area is that I'm getting a different angle on where I was just casting, which can help you a lot when your fish are finicky. Wintertime, it can help you quite a bit. Alrighty guys, sorry about that. Tractor driving by. We're going to take this jig, just pitch her right back over there where I got that bite a second ago, and see what happens. Man, I wish I would have got that fish to bite, but just like I was saying there, as I got that bite, bottom contact is a very, very big key in fishing in the wintertime, because you got to keep it on the bottom, because that's where the fish are. The fish are on the bottom. They're not moving a whole lot. They're going to be staying right there on the bottom, and they're going to just kind of sit there, and they're just going to be sitting on the bottom, and then something kind of hops in front of their face. If they can just reach out and grab it pretty quick and easy, then they can do that. They won't be expending too much energy, because that's one of the main biggest things with a fish, especially a big bass, is they don't want to expend their energy, however you want to say that. They don't want to use energy unless they absolutely have to. If they have to, they will, but if they don't have to, they won't. And if you can bring a very slow-paced bait right in front of their face, then you can most likely get them to bite, because they're opportunists. And I've said this many a times. If you can get a bait in front of the fish's face, most of the time they're going to bite. especially in the wintertime, because they're slow and they're going to take any type of bite they can get at this time. If they can get close enough to it, and they can... Oh, was that a fish? I don't know. Chainsaws, tractors, and everything else now. But yeah, I don't know if that was a fish or if I hit that brush pile, because the brush pile did move, but I don't know if it was a fish or not. But how I normally fish a jig like this is I'll fish it in the anywhere between 10 to 5 foot range, especially, you know, when it's cold. You want to try to go for those fish that are a little bit more shallow. Plus, when you're fishing something this small, you can very methodic-like fish this bait up in the 5 foot to 10 foot range. And that's kind of what we have here. You know, the pond is about 12 foot, 10 to 12 foot in the deepest part. So it's not really all that hard to fish a small jig like this. It's pretty easy to fish a jig of this style in this kind of weather. You know, you can fish a big jig, you can fish a small jig, whatever. In my opinion, I think the smaller jigs do a little bit better. Plus, with a smaller jig, you have the opportunity to not only just catch giant fish, but you can also catch the smaller fish as well. And who doesn't like catching fish when it's cold, especially if you've been out there for a while? You know, if you're standing out in the cold for 3 hours, 4 hours trying to catch a fish, you know, and you can finally get to set the hook on a decent fish, you know, who doesn't like that? So when you're throwing something big, you know, like a big swim bait or a big jig or something like that, big creature bait or whatever, you know, you're not going to be able to catch as... Oh my God, I think that was a fish. Freaking stupid crap, man. I don't know how I keep missing them. Right in this same area too. I think I'm going to go down to the deeper end and try it over there. Sit right here and cast it over here. Bring it this way, see if that bite changes any. But bottom contact is a very big key when it comes to jig fishing. You'll see that I'm fishing at a very slow pace. I'm not getting in any hurry. I'm keeping it slowed down, keeping it to where if a fish is on the bottom, they can bite and they won't have to expend a whole lot of energy. Some people will not even move the jig. They're basically just letting it sit, and in moving water situations and stuff, that helps a lot. But if you're in a still water pond like I am here today... Man, I thought that was a fish. Might have been a leaf or something. I don't know. Felt just like sudden weight on the jig, and I thought that might have been a bite, but maybe not. That's weird. The cork is coming off. That's not good. Haven't even had this rod for very long. But anyway, you know, some people just kind of let it sit in moving water, but if you're fishing a still water place like pond or a small lake or whatever, you know, you can just kind of hop it along very slowly, very subtle like, and you can get them to bite. But you have to be patient, especially in the wintertime. I see a lot of people that aren't patient enough to fish in this type of weather. You know, they're expecting to go out, throw a swim jig or a swim bait or a buzz bait or something and expect to catch a fish, and it's just not going to happen like that. You know, every once in a great while you'll be able to, but that's pretty much just like one of those lucky hot streaks that you gotta kind of hope you can get on, because if you don't get on one of those, then you're probably just going to be out here just like everybody else, throwing a little micro finesse jig, bouncing it along the bottom. Very slow, subtle fishing. And when you get down to it, in wintertime fishing as a whole, most of the time, you see people out throwing either very small baits or very big baits. Big swim baits or small, Ned rig baits, small jigs like I'm throwing here, smaller swim baits, trying to match the hatch a little bit more. Or you see those people out there throwing the big baits, like out in California. And there's still some places out east, down south, north, places that still throw the bigger baits when they can. But you see a lot more people are out throwing little baits like this jig, these type of jigs, Ned rig baits, stuff like that. You don't see as many people throwing the big stuff as you see throwing the smaller stuff, just because the smaller stuff gets you bit and it can catch you big fish. A lot of people don't believe so, and some people know so. I've met a lot of people that will tell you that small baits do catch big fish, and I'm one of those people. I've caught big fish. I've caught 4-pound fish on 4-pound or 4-inch baits. I've caught some pretty mean sized fish on 2 and 1.5 swim baits. I caught about a 3.5 pounder on the 2-inch swim bait a couple weeks back on that little 2-inch swim bait. I've also caught a 1.5 pound, 2-pound fish on that little 1.5, and that 1.5 is a very small bait, and it's pretty, almost cast it up onto the bank. Wasn't paying attention to what I'm doing. But you see a whole lot of people that don't really pay attention to what other people say, because if you listen to any of those big bass pros and stuff, they'll tell you that small baits do catch big fish. You may not be able to catch a 10-pounder on every cast when you're throwing a 4-inch worm, but if you get the right conditions and you get the right area, you can definitely catch a 10-pounder on a 4-inch worm. There's no doubt in my mind. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something off of this video. If you did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Again, I do apologize for the tractor and chainsaw noises. Can't really help it right now. It's getting cold and we got to cut up wood and stuff. But I'm still trying to get videos out for you guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry I wasn't able to catch any fish in it. If you did make it to this point, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.